So there's a mystery going on, a little bit of drama, which causes a lot of Democrat supporters to be outraged. I really love how politics are like circus now. You know, ever since they said that everything is political in order to justify making entertainment political, the politics have become the circus, and the circus has become political. But it's about pardoning, right? And everyone like really, really cares now about pardoning. Turns out that there are allegations made by Donald Trump himself that the pardons that the previous president gave on the unselected committee of political thugs and many others, according to him, are null. They're null because they were done by auto pen. So, in other words, he believes that Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by him. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime. And so there's also other allegations that some of these signatures were done when Joe Biden wasn't in the White House. So basically, he is contesting the validity of the document. Now, all of a sudden, all the Democrats are like, no, you can't do this. You can't contest a document. Like, documents are sacred. It's like when Moses came down with the tablets. They were from God. You can't deny that. But the reality is, like, documents are contested all the fucking time. Like there are cases where, you know, a person comes up with a contract and the other person goes like, no, I didn't sign that. And so the document is contested. Because otherwise, like, you could just, you know, forge a signature. And if there's no way to contest it, then, well, the document is enforced, right? So I could technically make a contract where I say that you owe me money, I forge your signature, and then you can't contest it, right? Because it's a document made from God. Why are people so goddamn stupid? Now, obviously, it's going to be contested by a court. I mean, Donald Trump himself does not have the authority to simply say, well, I personally don't think that these signatures are valid, and therefore, all of the pardons are fake. Like, no, because at the end of the day, what is a pardon? A pardon basically says that the person is not going to be charged of the crime. Who charges people of crime? Judges, right? So, like, if the case is sent in front of a judge, they can't just say, well, you know, like, the US president doesn't believe that the pardon is valid. Well, the judge is going to tell the president to go fuck himself, because his powers aren't part of the legislative, he's a part of the executive branch. I generally, like, don't understand how Democrats on the internet think, because, like, I keep seeing people so outraged over this. And it's like, there's already a system in place to verify if a contract is legit or not, if it's actually signed by a person or not. And you want that system, you dumb fuck. Like, you literally want that system because one day, you know, like, the bank would say you own the money. And they would show a contract and you'd be like, well, I never signed this shit. So if you don't have that system, what do you do then? Well, I'll tell you what you do with the system. You take the contract to court. They have some experts that look at the signature. They validate it. They verify it. And if it's not legit, you get to win, right? And the bank loses. But no, apparently we need to get rid of that. No, like, any person claiming that a contract is legit, it has to be legit, right? No, like, this will obviously go to a court if the US president wants to press it. There's going to be experts, there's going to be a judge, and they will decide if the document is indeed a forgery or not. If it's a forgery, then it opens up a different can of worms. Like, the people who forged it, they're responsible, right? Like, it's a serious crime. If it's not a forgery, well, you know, it's just an accusation. I mean, it seemed sus. There was an investigation. It turns out that there was nothing. Isn't that how the world works, right? Like, if you have reasonable suspicions of something, you start a procedure, you start an investigation. And if the investigation turns out nothing, it's like, well, you know, you did your due diligence. It's interesting, though, that the signature for Hunter Biden apparently was signed by hand. So, like, that wasn't signed by an auto pen. Now, again, like, the thing with the auto pen is that I understand it's actually legally binding. So, I don't know, but like again, there are experts, there are investigators that can figure it out based on other things. It's like, where was Joe Biden at the time it was signed? Are there witnesses? Do we have cameras? Can we verify it? Right? Like it's not just like, oh, it was signed by an auto pen, so therefore it can't be verified. No, it absolutely can. And like this actually brings into question the whole institution of pardoning. I really dislike it. I think it shouldn't exist. Right, like the idea that the president can pardon someone. I mean, he is part of the executive branch, right? He's not part of the judicial branch. And so if you look at the history of pardoning, it's always done for political purposes. It's usually used on rappers, musicians, celebrities, in order to gain public approval. Why is that even a thing? And like people are freaking out about the fact when SCOTUS said, well, yeah, but the president can't be charged for stuff he does while in office. And everyone was like, oh, so he can get the Navy SEALs to assassinate. He's the assassin. He can assassin his opposition, right? Like, just, again, like mental Democrat talking points. It's like, all right, you like the pardoning institution, right? What would stop the president from getting someone like Prigozhin, like a right-hand man? And he does all the dirty shit, and then he pardons him, and there you fucking go, right? You don't need SCOTUS to say that the president can get away with anything that he does during exercising office, because he can literally bypass that. He could find a loophole, even with that SCOTUS ruling not existing, just finds another guy, the other guy does all of the nasty shit, pardons him, there you fucking go. And, like the idea of pardoning one's family, like that's another possibility. Normally you would say, well, what is the checks and balance of pardoning, right? Like, what's to stop the president from pardoning, like, a serial killer or something? Well, the idea is that he wants to get reelected, right? And so, like, if he pardons a lot of people that shouldn't be pardoned, then people don't vote for him a second time. All right, fair enough. But what if he's old, he's at the end of his political career, he's at the second term, then he can pardon his entire fucking family, right? Like, he can pardon every single person that scratched his backs. Like, for my friends, everything. For my enemies, the law. That's the mentality that they can have. And so, I do understand, like, the pardoning as a system should exist somehow, because you end up with a situation like the January 6th, where the mainstream media and the judges fail to convince the public that these people have committed dangerous crimes. And so the public may actually want those people released, right? So, like, maybe pardoning should be as an exception, like something extremely rare, and the president maybe can start a referendum on it, or there can, take it to the Supreme Court so they can decide if the person is pardoned or not. But again, like, the idea that the president can pardon everyone willy-nilly, I don't think it's a good institution, because it's always used to get political points, rather than, like, the president actually looks at a case and he thinks that it was unfair. And I mean, again, like why exactly would you pardon Fauci, right? He hasn't even been accused of a crime, but it's like, well, just in case he may be, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. The same with Hunter Biden. Like, don't get me wrong, like, if I was Joe Biden, I would pardon my son as well, like, family uber alles. Like, I get that. But why should that be an option? Why should it be allowed, to pardon someone for, like, any crime that, even crimes that haven't been found, right? Ridiculous. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.